crust with bigger slices and perfect thickness so you can fold it or not. Get your New York-style pizza from Papa John's, one topping, only $13 for a limited time. Order now on the app at Papa John's.
The last week in April happens to be National Infertility Awareness Week, and if you or someone you know has ever struggled with having a family, you know quite well the importance of focusing on that awareness. So we're very happy this morning to have Katy Poole on the show. She has Katy Poole Wellness. Not only does she focus on it every day, she's walked the walk, and so now you help couples or individual people to have that family. So
yeah, good to see you too. Thanks for having me back.
It's not really so much, is it, Katy? You're not really the one dealing with the infertility and the science behind it, but more the emotion behind it and trying to help people know kind of some tips and tricks to make it successful.
So we actually do a lot of science-based stuff. So everything that we do and recommend and kind of discuss with our clients is looking at biology, looking at medical history, looking at certain supplements or things that you may be deficient in. So it's very, there's a big portion that is health and wellness and medical based. There's also the emotional support side, because struggling with fertility is exhausting. It's a roller coaster. And so we offer support on how to kind of handle certain things that come up that are sensitive, like gender reveal parties that you're invited to, or baby showers, and how devastating or how hard that can be as somebody that's struggling with infertility, and it can be the emotional support on that side of things. But a lot of what I do with coaching my clients is looking at what you can do naturally and holistically to increase your likelihood of getting pregnant on your own, and also what you can do to improve your egg health. So in the event that you are unable to get pregnant naturally, you're setting yourself up for the most success in the event that you have to go the IVF route or go IUI or go take medications. What we're going to do is help improve your overall wellness and improve your overall fertility in hopes that you don't have to go that artificial route. But if you do, we're improving the chances of having a healthy baby by improving egg health over time.
Okay, so let's suppose that you are a relatively newly married couple, okay, and you're both 27 years old, but there is a history of infertility in your family. Maybe she has always been pretty regular, but she's just not sure if this might happen to her.
Right.
What would you recommend? Should they try naturally when they're ready to, and then after a couple of months, if it's unsuccessful, come to you?
Yeah, I mean, I think that the nice part of what I've learned with my research through my own, struggles with infertility, and when I started really diving into this, was that there's such an opportunity to improve your egg health. And so that's going to be helpful in improving your chances of getting pregnant, also decreasing your likelihood of having a miscarriage, and decreasing your likelihood of having a baby with any sort of genetic or chromosomal abnormalities. And so even though in your 20s, late 20s, your fertility is going to be less at 27 than it was at 23. However, it doesn't start to further decline until closer to 30 and then 35. It really starts to drop off. But I think that anybody that's thinking about having a baby and has a family history of any infertility, or has their own personal history of PCOS, uterine fibroids, that it's worth it to go ahead and do everything that you can so that you don't have to go seek additional treatment later on.
Okay, let's play 20 questions.
Okay.
Let's have a different scenario. You mentioned PCOS. That's something that's typically diagnosed, when you're a teenager or when you're older?
I think a lot of times it gets missed. It can be, a lot of times it's diagnosed not just with lab work, but with symptoms that people have. And depending on how regularly you see your physician or your OBGYN, it may be diagnosed, but it may not be something that you even realize that you had until you start struggling with infertility, and then they start working it up and say, oh yeah, you actually are having some of these symptoms and may have PCOS.
Okay.
So a lot of times you don't know it until you're kind of faced with it when you're struggling with infertility.
If you are growing up, if you struggle with having regular cycles, but you haven't had a PCOS diagnosis, does that mean that you could have problems when you're older?
It could be, yeah, absolutely. So irregular cycles and not ovulating is one of the top reasons that people struggle with infertility. And so abnormal cycles or irregular cycles, if you're playing sports and you're very thin, it's more likely when you're younger to have less regular cycles. But when you get older and you have a BMI that is in a healthy range, if you're still having irregular cycles, it's something that you want to pay attention to in the event that you do want to get pregnant.
Okay, so because I'm asking you these questions because I was kind of surprised, I shouldn't have been, with your answer about the 27-year-old couple, because you said at 27 you're not as fertile as you were at 23. So if you're a parent or young 20s and you're watching this history, should you go ahead and harvest those eggs in the event that down the road you need them?
Yes, I don't think it's a bad idea for anybody to not freeze their eggs. I mean, if you are, I've had some people that they have a baby really young and they are like, ooh, let's deal with this baby first and kind of get a little bit older, get some more experience. And then when they're ready to have that second child, they struggle with secondary infertility, which is when you have infertility after already having one healthy baby. And so secondary infertility is somewhat common. And so if you had those eggs on reserve, or if you didn't know if you wanted to have another child or not, it is a great idea to have some eggs stored or embryos stored if you wanted to have those with your partner to ensure that fertility if you wanted to have a baby later on.
Is that IVF?
So yes, when you are implanting the embryos, that would be IVF. But some people choose to just freeze embryos if they're with a partner but they're not ready to quite have kids yet, and they know that this is their partner. They just want to wait for 5-10 more years until they finish their residency or finish some sort of career goals, or if it's just not the right time for them, or they don't know if having a child for them is what they want, but the biological clock is ticking, they can freeze those embryos or freeze the eggs to allow for that fertility option later on.
So again, back to if you have a funny medical issue or the menstrual cycle thing, if you freeze your eggs at 22 versus 32, it still is going to end up being IVF in the end, but one egg is healthier than the other.
Correct. That 22-year-old egg is going to be much healthier, and it's going to stay at that younger, healthier state than the egg that was frozen at 32. So some things that people are thinking about now are actually freezing their eggs right out of college when they're young and when they're healthy, and it's been suggested that maybe a graduation gift could be freezing your eggs so that you can go do your post-grad studies, go do what you want with your career, travel, and then meet your partner. And if that doesn't happen on the timeline that you anticipated when you're 21 or 22 graduating from college, then you have those eggs that have been stored for the last few years that you can access, and they're at a younger, healthier age.
So I only have a little bit of time left, and I kind of hijacked the conversation in a way this morning on the egg freezing side of it. That is just one component. I mean, if you're a couple out there and that's not where you are, there's a lot of science behind this with what you're going to eat, the vitamins you're taking, exercises that you're doing, all of it, right?
Yes. So I take a really holistic approach, and we break down everything. We are going to look at your sleep. We're going to look at what you're eating. We're going to look at your diet, and if you're vegetarian or vegan and you may be deficient in certain things, we're going to look at your gut biome and certain things that you may not ever think about, and help take it in bite-sized pieces so it's not like you're getting all of this information like a fire hose coming at you. It's going to be week by week, regular meetings, and also addressing some of the emotional sides of things that that come up during all of this. And so we kind of really cut it down to be really small pieces so that you can make those changes and it's not so overwhelming, because changing your habits doesn't happen overnight. It's a little bit at a time. And so if we can just do a little bit to improve your fertility over time, hopefully when that time is right for you, you'll get pregnant naturally.
So the easiest way to get in touch with her actually is not to call, but either find her on Instagram at Katy Poole Wellness or on the website, which is katypoole.com.
Yep, absolutely.
And she will walk right side by side with you.
Absolutely.
To walk you through it.
Yeah, thanks so much.
Thank you so much.
Local 3 wants you to celebrate spring at Dollywood's Flower and Food Festival, presented by Covenant Health. You could win a family 4-pack of tickets or a grand prize, including gold season passes and tickets to Splash Country. Enter every day on local3news.com.
Many Chattanooga homes have septic systems which can last for years with proper maintenance. For over 3 decades,